we have a special guest today, Mr. Manu Thomas, who is from Bombay Stock Exchange. He is the Deputy General Manager listing Bombay Stock Exchange Limited, BSE Limited. He comes with over 25 years of experience in the Indian capital market, in the Indian capital markets that revolves around equity research, investment banking, corporate finance. He's been associated with BSE for almost 21 years, wherein he has been instrumental in reducing the equity IPO timelines right when it started from 15 days and today it is as low as 3 days.
Now, why do corporates or governments issue bonds? Very simple. Uh, For a growth company, a company who wants to grow, they have their business requirements. They want to borrow money so that they can build up their businesses, they can build up their infrastructure. This is why the companies borrow for their working capital requirements, for refinancing of high cost to a low cost model. They do it, they borrow money. Why do government borrow money? Government has their own responsibilities, social infrastructure spending, defense spending, healthcare, hospitality, hospitals. So they have their requirements of spending. It's basically they are borrowing money for their requirements of further spending. Governments क्यों borrow करते हैं या institutions क्यों borrow करते हैं? If your money, if for an example हम family के perspective से earn करें, if there is a person who is earning in the family, his total per month earning is 100 rupees, but for that additional month, if the requirement for spending has gone to 125 rupees, that 20 rupees that person has to borrow, so that minimum requirement of the family is running through. Same is the case for the companies as well as for the governments, and they pay interest to the person who is financing them or giving them this loan. Yes. Next slide, Sunny. In past, a few of the companies which have issued bonds in the public issue format, both from the private sector and the PSU sector, are like private Tata Capital, Mahindra Finance, L&T, Muthoot. They are the regular issuers of bonds. Same is the case in the public sector enterprises like NHPC, NTPC, National Highway Authority of India, Power Finance Corporation of India, REC. These are the issuers who have done public issue of bonds so that they can get good chunk of money, and as a large population of investors can participate in these fixed income instruments for their investments. The most important parameter which we should look into it, okay, as an investor, what are my advantages when I am investing into a bond public issue? First and the foremost is a low ticket size investments. I can invest as low as 10,000 rupees when it comes to my initial investments in an NCD public issue, where the face value of the bond is 1,000 rupees. Since multiple category of investors do invest into, or the options are available for them to invest into public issue, individual category of investors have given a priority in terms of higher interest rates. So the coupon rate or the interest rate is a little bit higher as compared to institutional investors. When it comes to higher interest rate, they're also given higher priority in terms of allocation buckets. If there is, for example, 100 crore issue size, generally for individual category of investors, there is a higher bucket allocation, which goes as to 40% to 60% of the total issue size. Being into public issue format, there are additional disclosures which are required by the regulator for the issuer to disclose. There's always a transparent pricing, because when you are investing into it, you know what yield you are investing on the day one. These bonds are listed in the exchange, Bombay Stock Exchange and National Stock Exchange. So there is perfect liquidity in this bond. They are, whenever you want to liquidate it, you can go to the exchange platform and sell your bonds. And there's very ease of application when it comes to applying this bonds. I'm sure most of the public have been investing into equity IPOs. It is far easier in a similar format, same application form, similar format of application form. Select the security series which you want to, and you can apply these public issue of bonds with UPI and ASBA application mechanism. Multiple category of investors can participate. Broadly, these categories are divided into 4 categories of eligible investors. Category 1, naming institutional investors, basically the qualified institutional bidders or QIBs, which includes banks, financial institutions, FPIs, mutual funds, insurance companies, which categorize into category 1. Category 2 are the non-institutional investors or the corporate investors, public, private, charitable trusts, partnership firms, AOPs, limited liability partnership. So the corporate entity can participate. The third and fourth category are basically the individual category of investors, and they are subdivided on the basis of the ticket size. Anything up to rupees 10 lakh is categorized as category 4 or retail individual investors, and anything above 10 lakh rupees by a single applicant or all applications put together on a single PAN card is categorized as high net worth individual or HNI application. So in HNI application can be 1 crore, 2 crores or 5 crores also for an investment in a public issue. Anything less than that is categorized as and less than 10 lakh is categorized as retail application. Just for a small note, NRIs are not allowed to participate in the public issue of NCD.
We'll quickly walk you through what is a simple online application process. So this application process is of IndiaBonds. Obviously, there will be different application processes which will be with other brokers that you deal with. We'll quickly run you through. Basically, you just have to, it is just 3 clicks away, wherein you just have to come in, select whether you are an individual investor or an HNI. अगर आपका इन्वेस्टमेंट 10 लाख के ऊपर है तो आप HNI में क्वालिफाई होते हैं, अगर 10 लाख के नीचे है तो आप रिटेल में इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं. अगर आप नॉन इंस्टीट्यूशनल है जैसे कि कॉर्पोरेट है या QIB है तो देन यू कैन चूज दैट. वंस यू हैव सिलेक्टेड दैट यू मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड. सो हर बॉन्ड में ऑप्शंस होते हैं. जैसे कि मंथली इंटरेस्ट कोई कमाना चाहता है, कोई एनुअल चाहिए, किसी को बुलेट रिडेम्पशन चाहिए दैट इज डायरेक्टली एट मैच्योरिटी कंपाउंडेड 3 इयर्स का बॉन्ड है, या किसी को 2 साल के लिए इन्वेस्ट करना है, किसी को 5 साल के लिए इन्वेस्ट करना है, किसी को 3 साल के लिए इन्वेस्ट करना है. Every public issue will have various options that you need to select. So here you need to just capture what is the quantity that you want to invest or what is the amount that you wish to invest. The moment you add in quantity, it will automatically calculate the amount, or you can also invest the amount also directly. If you want to invest as low as 10,000 going up to whatever amount that you wish to invest. Then on the next slide, you need to add in your details so that we ensure that the bonds are coming in your demat account. So your PAN number has to be mapped here. The same, your demat account details, whether it is with NSDL or CDSL, that is readily available with you, your contact coordinates, and the payment that you wish to make in. If you're going to make a payment which is above 5 lakhs, then your payment goes under ASBA. Whereas in case if you want to make an investment of less than 5 lakhs, then you can look at doing an UPI. So that is a new provision. Earlier this was 2 lakhs. Now this has been increased by the government to 5 lakhs. So up to 5 lakhs, you can directly invest through your UPI ID. So this is a screen wherein you need to invest your PAN number, your date of birth, your contact details, NSDL, CDSL, and your UPI details. And then you have to, you can preview the form. So basic details will be able to see here on the right. And then a auto-populated form will be selected over here. You have to just review the same to ensure that there are no errors while typing it, and then you can just confirm and your order is placed, your form is submitted. And then we later on, once the issue opens, the allotment and everything, all other processes is at the back end that will work. Whenever there is a public issue of debenture that happens, there are stakeholders that are attached to this. These stakeholders are somebody like stock exchange, that every issue has to be listed on the exchange. A debenture trustee who takes care of the security, because most of these issues are secured in nature. So there is a trustee that is attached to it. Then there are lead managers. In every issue, there is always be a lead manager who does the due diligence, who does which in detail, Mr. Manu will also explain to us. Rating agencies, because every bond that is in public issue is rated. And then there are distributors like IndiaBonds or AK Stock Mart or anything of that sort.
Before getting into the process of listing process at exchange, I would clear you that why a public issue of debt is required, why not a private placement. As per the regulation, which is mentioned that more than, if you're raising through funds for more than 200 investors, then public issue is mandatory. So without a public issue in a financial year, any issuer cannot raise fund from more than 200 allottees. And when there is a public issue, it has to be mandatorily listed on an exchange. So I will run through the processes, what all is done on the exchange side. Basically, it is bifurcated into 4-5 segments. First is the in-principle approval, then opening of the issue, allocation of the allotments, and final listing and trading approval. So initially, the first process, as I mentioned you, is the in-principle approval. For that, the merchant bankers has to submit the document at the exchange for approval along with the list of documents and the offer document, which consists, which is prepared as per the SEBI listing and issue and listing of non-convertible securities regulations 2021, which is a bunch of disclosures detailing about the promoters of the company, the background of the company, the business, the financials, and all the litigations. So today it is more of a disclosure-based regime. Unlike earlier years, it was more of a merit-based. So आज की तारीख में through offer document, it is assumed that investors will go through the offer document, they will understand what is written over there, and it is as per the investor's choice whether they have to invest it or not. So it's more of a disclosure based regime. So उनको ये offer document submit करना पड़ता है exchange में, और ये ऑफर डॉक्यूमेंट जो सबमिट किया जाता है पब्लिक इशू का, इसको ड्राफ्ट ऑफर डॉक्यूमेंट कहा जाता है शुरू में, और ये ऑफर डॉक्यूमेंट एक्सचेंज के वेबसाइट में और मर्चेंट बैंकर्स के वेबसाइट में और इशूअर, ये तीनों के वेबसाइट में ये डॉक्यूमेंट्स अवेलेबल रहता है मिनिमम फॉर 7 days. Public can go through this offer document and they can ask comments on that, further clarifications of it, any material disclosure which are not mentioned in the offer document, anything, they can raise it to the merchant bankers or issuer, and it is the responsibility of the merchant banker to address all those concerns before opening of the issue. कोई भी issuer या उसके promoter या promoter group या directors of that company, if they are debarred by regulators, by SEBI, from accessing the capital market या फिर dealing in the capital market, या फिर वो इनमें से कोई भी अगर विलफुल डिफॉल्टर है या फिजिटिव ऑफेंडर है, इकोनॉमिक ऑफेंडर्स है, ऐसे इशूअर पब्लिक इशू ऑफ डेट नहीं लेके आ सकता है, या फिर ये प्रमोटर डायरेक्टर या इसके ग्रुप कंपनीज, इफ दे आर इस कंपनी के प्रमोटर या डायरेक्टर और कोई कंपनी विच इज ए डिफॉल्टर या विलफुल डिफॉल्टर है या डिबार किया गया है, उसमें अगर प्रमोटर रहेगा तो भी this issuer cannot come out with a public issue. The third one is that if there is a default in principal payment या interest rate for more than 6 months, then such issuer cannot come out with a public issue of debt. When a company is proposed to list on list, it can apply to one or more stock exchanges. And if it is selecting to more than one exchange, then one exchange should be the designated stock exchange. And they have to obtain in principle approval before opening of the issue. So exchange, after going through the offer document, we basically look into that, whether the proper disclosures have made. Due diligence certificate is something which the merchant bankers have to do the due diligence and they have to submit to the exchange. And we go through the due diligence certificate, the credit rating. So the validity of the credit rating, which Harit has already covered. So credit rating, हर public issue जो भी bonds या NCDs का लेके आते हैं, उनको credit rating obtain करने का है, और credit rating जो grant किया जाता है वो 1 साल का validity रहता है. But they have to ensure that at the opening of the issue up to the listing of the securities, the rating should be valid, and the issuer has to also sign with both the depositories. आज की तारीख में NSDL, CDSL are the depositories, so that any investors who are buying, where they may be having account with NSDL or CDSL, this should be credited to their account. So before opening of the issue, they should be signed with both the depositories. And if there can be more than one merchant bankers in the issue. In that case, one will be the lead merchant banker. The issuer also has to appoint debenture trustees, registrars to the issue, who will be managing, who will be doing the allocations of the securities, sponsors bank. And one of the important factor is that for all secured debt public issues, there should be minimum 100% asset coverage, which has to be ensured by the debenture trustee. They have to provide the due diligence certificate. So इस सब के basis में we grant the in-principle approval, and once the in-principle approval is granted, the validity of that approval is for next 1 year. After getting the approval, they can open the issue in the next 1 year anytime. So, and when the company decide to open the issue, they can decide whether it can be a fixed price issue or a book building. Book building में price derive process रहता है, which is basically of the price of the bond or the coupon rate. It's as per the choice, but the fact is that आज की तारीख में अभी तक कोई भी bond issue book building में नहीं आया है. It was always a fixed price issue. Then the overall issue size is bifurcated into base as well as green shoe option. So base is that if a company has planned to raise 1,000 crores, they can keep 500 crores as base issue and another 500 crores as a green shoe option. Base issue का importance ये है कि कोई भी issue NCD तब successful होता है जहाँ पे minimum अगर 75% subscription आया रहेगा तो, which is not applicable for tax-free bonds. अगर कोई भी ऐसा issues जिसमें 75% is considered from the base issue, अगर base issue में 75% subscription में आएगा तो that will be filled. And in the issue, various type of investors are there, which are already we have discussed on that. And the issue can be open for a maximum of 30 days. And the mode of application in any of the issue is through UPI or ASPA mechanism. And the subscription in the issue is disseminated on the websites of the exchange. And even before opening of the issue also, these documents are available on the website, and anybody can go to the exchange website and look into that, which are the public issues are opened or which is going to be open. In a week advance, we disseminate on the exchange website that going forward, which are the issues which is going to come. So even when the issue is open, you can see the subscription per day, how much subscription it has received, that can be viewed over there. And during this issue period, there cannot be any misleading informations for subscription in the issue. Other than the facts, one can give advertisement based on the facts of the matter. And whenever there is an advertisement, the company has to disclose the rating what they have received in the issue. And rating, a company can take from more than one rating agencies. If they are going for more than one rating agency, they have to disclose all the ratings which they have received in that particular issues. The issue can be open for maximum 30 days. And normally, if they get the subscription before the completion of 130 days, they can close the issue by giving a public advertisement. And once the issue is completed, the registrar, the merchant banker, and they all submit the application to the exchange for the basis of allocation. And allocation is done based on the bids which we have received, which is also supported by funds. That is, sometimes it has happened that the bidding is done, but UPI mandate is not accepted. Because of that, the bid is not supported by fund. So such bids will be eliminated, and certain cases where ASPA funds are blocked, but the bids are not executed on the exchange. Even as per the recent development, those things have been eliminated. Banks are instructed to bid the application. There cannot be any blockage of fund without bidding. So that is now taken care of. So all those technical rejections are taken out, weeded out, and thereafter, as per first come first basis. Here the allocation is done first come first basis. Like if the issue is open for 10 days and the issue got subscribed, is undersubscribed up to 8th day. That means everybody up to the 8th day will be getting the allocation. And for the 9th, it was oversubscribed, and obviously 10th will also be oversubscribed. So for 9th and 10th, whoever has applied, they will be getting on a pro rata basis, on a proportionate manner. So entire this allocation after the closure of the issue, the allocation should be completed within 5 days from the closure of the issue. And thereafter, the allotment of securities will be done only in demat mode. And once the allocation is done, the company sign the listing agreement with the exchange. They has to register with SEBI scores, which normally company does before listing. Scores registration is because by registering this, anybody who is having any complaint, they have not received any interest or any complaint pertaining to this bid, this issue or the issue, they can register their complaint through scores, which will be monitored by SEBI, and the merchant banker and the issuers, they had to address this concern within a stipulated time. And then the refund of the, if it is oversubscribed, the refund of fund is carried out, the credit of securities is carried out. And within 6 days from the closure of the issue, the trading in the securities will commence. And trading will also be happen only in compulsory demat mode. Once the company has listed, the issue is listed, then as they had signed with the listing agreement, listing regulation, which comprises of a bunch of regulation which the companies abide to comply with, wherein they have undertaken to provide financial results on a quarterly basis, on particularly for debt issue, it's half-yearly basis, and any material disclosure like any strike in the company, unlike in an unlisted scenario where the investors won't come to know कि कंपनी में क्या हो रहा है, वहां पे कुछ आग लग गया है, कुछ स्ट्राइक हो गया है, पता नहीं चलता है. But here, if any material event has happened in the company, they have to first inform to the exchange, and exchange through our portal immediately, it directly goes to the exchange website, and all investors across the country will get the information through our website. And record dates for redemption of issues or interest rate, they have to give 7 working day prior intimation. And कोई board meetings वगैरह होता है तो उसके लिए 2 दिन का intimation देना पड़ता है, working days. So these are the compliance requirements which a listed company has to comply with.